loses weight soon, she'll be dead within the next 5 years. But Amanda simply can't shed the pounds, and she's desperate.
My weight is a real burden. No one knows what it's like to be like that unless you're this size. I hate myself. I hate myself a lot.
Expect graphic scenes of gastric bypass surgery on Fat Doctor. The UK is now officially the fattest nation in Europe. 2/3 of the adult population are overweight, with devastating consequences for the nation's health. Obesity is already responsible for 1,000 deaths a week in the UK, and the crisis continues. Countless thousands of Britons struggle daily with diets. But for most, it's a losing battle. No matter how hard they try, they just can't get rid of the fat.
Sometimes you feel you've only got to look at food and you're going to put weight on.
If I keep on piling on the pounds, I'm going to wear out my heart, and that'll be the end of me.
I can just eat and eat and eat.
As a last resort, some of the nation's morbidly obese are turning to this man. Shaw Summers is a bariatric surgeon who every day shrinks stomachs in an effort to change and even save people's lives. Shaw performs operations on some of Britain's biggest, who go under his knife in a desperate effort to shed the pounds.
You do get the feeling that sometimes you are the person just holding back a tide of demand.
And such is the scale of the problem, demand is high.
When you're desperate enough to diet, you'll try anything.
Anything that helps me lose weight is just a bonus.
But it's major surgery with many risks attached and is a last resort for these patients when all else has failed.
Like most surgeons, I enjoy my job, but I would rather not have to operate on a person if we can get away with it. Unfortunately, at this moment in time, surgery is the only effective option for people with severe morbid obesity.
This is how the operation works.
Food goes down the gullet, from the mouth, into the stomach, which is a little bag that helps mix and digest the food. It then goes on into the small intestine, which is a wavy tube that ends up in the large bowel. Now, in order to design an operation that stops people eating and also causes them to absorb less food, a chap called Mason described what's called the gastric bypass. Now, this involves making the stomach very much smaller. And we tend to do this by either stapling across the stomach so that we have a tiny little stomach pouch, or we actually cut the stomach in two so that the bottom bit is disconnected from the top bit. Once that's been performed, we then measure down the small intestine about 1/3 of the way down, and we cut the small intestine. We then reroute the way the food goes so that this pouch empties via a small hole into this bit of small bowel. Now, the reason for making the stomach very much smaller is that people will feel full more quickly, and they won't be able to tolerate large meals of stodgy food. So that is the restriction element of the operation. The reason for bypassing the top part of the small intestine and the rest of the stomach is that that does two things. It reduces the absorption potential of the digestive system, and it also causes a number of reactions against certain types of foods. If I can now draw what a bypass procedure would look at the end of the operation, the gullet carries the food down to a small stomach pouch. The stomach pouch then empties into this bit of intestine, which is joined to the stomach pouch and carries the food into the large intestine as before. However, the rest of the stomach and the upper small intestine still remains. We don't remove anything with a gastric bypass operation. It's the rest of the stomach that now just sits there doing not much but creates secretions will be joined onto the intestine lower down in a sort of Y shape. And this area here is what's called the Y of the roux on Y part of the operation. And because we've bypassed the majority of the stomach, It's called a gastric bypass. Now, the effect of this bypass will be that any sweet foods or high-calorie foods going into this bit of intestine without going through the rest of the stomach causes a reaction, and that reaction is lightheadedness, nausea, shivering, what we call the dumping syndrome. And it works as a kind of aversion therapy against people eating the wrong kinds of foods.
Here are some of the men and women for whom this life-saving surgery has worked. These are Shaw's former patients at their annual reunion.
Since the surgery, I've lost 27 stone.
I've lost 11.5 stone in 14 months, which is just amazing.
I've lost 8 stone in 7 months, so I'm a totally different person.
Two of us together.
For the people in this room, their dramatic weight loss has changed everything.
When you go for surgery.
It gave me my life back. I've got 2 kids and maybe now I'll see them grow up.
I'm a different man now, no, that's not me. I just feel so fit now, it's just amazing.
As far as I'm concerned, this operation is my willpower. It stops me from doing what I want to do, which is eat.
Amanda Beere is hoping gastric bypass surgery will succeed where her dieting willpower has failed. But there's concern over whether her staggering weight has caused such damage to her health that an operation would pose a serious risk to her life.
This is my last hope. I'll just be booking me coffin if I don't get this. So I've got to. I've got to.
Behind the doors of this house in Cambridge, life has come to a stop for Amanda Beere. At 40 stone, she's been told that unless she loses weight soon, she'll be dead within the next 5 years. At just 41 years old, mother of 3, Amanda has no life and no future.
My weight is a real burden. No one knows what it's like to be like that unless you're this size. I'm down as far as I can go at the moment. Really depressed I am. I hate myself. I hate myself a lot.
Amanda is so debilitated by her size, she needs round-the-clock care from her family. She can't do the simplest things like cook, wash, or even go to the toilet on her own. Her chief carer is her 17-year-old son, Simon. It's early morning, and it's time for him to start the household chores.
Do we dry up now or what?
No, you can do that in a little while if you like.
Okay. Dusted?
Well, yeah, the ornaments could do with a bit.
Okay. What I do around the house and do for my mum is I do the housework, which is like washing up, hoovering, cleaning, go to the shops.
Oh, no.
I have to help my mum give her a wash sometimes in the morning or at night time and put some cream on for her stores and get her changed to make sure she's all nice and clean. When it's bedtime, I help mum get in bed and make sure she's got a drink and okay, and then we have walkie-talkies that we bring up. I have one and she has one, so if she needs me during the night, she can get me upstairs and then I'll go and help her out with what she needed me for. I get on most nights to help her out, yeah, so I'm like, don't get much sleep, but I don't mind doing that, it's okay. I'm not a sleeper. Right there, yeah.
Have you put the other one back?
Yeah, there you go. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just right. My son Simon is 1 in a million. He's there for me all the time. He loves being with his mum. A lot of dust collectors. He prepares the meals because I can't stand in the kitchen. He puts the washing on and for me and, well, basically, he does my toilet needs for me because I can't reach to wipe my bottom, which is really embarrassing. It must be embarrassing for him, but he never complains. It's most degrading. I do feel guilty that my son has to do these things for me, but if I say to him, do you mind? He'll say, no, Mum, I don't mind. It's not your fault.
I'm going to take your trash up in a minute, man. Everything you can bowl of water, darling, yeah?
The first visitor of the day is Amanda's ex-husband, Vince, the father of her 3 children. It's been years since Amanda could fit into a bath, so keeping clean is a challenge.
Sorry. I can just give my hands a minute and
Vince comes round daily to help wash her.
I wash her, I take her to the toilet, I wipe the bottom if she needs me to. I tidy up the house and help Simon and the children and tidy up. Well, I do get worried about the children helping because it's not very dignifying for Mandy. Thank you.
Vincent washes me at least twice a day, 3 times a day, if need be, because you get sweaty being big. It doesn't sort of bother me in washing me, not like it would an outsider. I'd feel really embarrassed.
I don't get embarrassed because at the end of the day, if Mandy hasn't got me, she ain't going to get the wash and the needs that she needs, you see, so I don't mind washing her and everything to make sure she's clean. Then I have to put cream on her because sometimes she splits, where her skin splits and it starts to bleed, so I have to put some super cream on her and that to make sure it heals up. And half the time I can't touch her because she's crying with the pain.
Ow.
Sorry. It's so sad to see her the way she is now because it upsets her and it upsets us and it upsets the children. You know, I do feel for the girl, you know, because it's not nice and at the end of the day, you know, it's just her who's got to carry all that weight around and that, and it's very hard. And she feels humiliated about it as well, bless her. I'll put the flannel in the wash and I'll get rid of this water. Yeah?
Today, Amanda's going on a rare trip out to the shops. She can't walk more than a few steps and can only get about with the help of Simon and her motorised scooter.
Lift my leg up. That's it.
She rarely leaves the house because she's terrified of comments from strangers.
People can be so annoying when you go out. They tell you how much path do you need, or you should be eating salads, or why don't you join Weight Watchers and things like that. It's very nasty. You get people shouting from cars. I get kids throwing eggs at me, and it's just really no need. Right, what's next?
Coleslaw. If we go that way round. When me and my mum go out together, we have people like shouting and calling their names. You ate all the pies, fatty, or if they go by in the car, they would say, "You're losing weight, you stupid," you know.
You get some apples if you like. They look nice.
It's a challenge for her to go out of the house, let alone get called names.
I only go out really if I really push myself, and I have to really push myself. Or is it another one like you know just to do? Is it basketball? Basketball?
Because you don't know basketball yesterday.
Is it basketball?
Back home, Amanda catches up with her daughters, Katie and Gina, who have just arrived back from school.
What did you do at school today? She had swimming, but what did you do? Can't remember.
For Simon, who's now left school, it's non-stop. He must now start to cook the family's tea.
Got cheese and macaroni tonight. Ooh, my favourite.
Amanda doesn't think that her diet is responsible for her mammoth size.
Thank you.
Her weight escalated rapidly after the birth of her 3 children, but although she admits to eating badly in the past, she says she now eats very little. She can't understand why the stones continue to pile on.
People judge you because of your size. They think you eat nothing but cream cakes and fish and chips, which is not true. I don't have bad eating habits, not now, at the moment, because I feel guilty of what I eat, because I think I'm just contributing to make myself bigger. So I'm very fussy with what I eat at the moment.
Amanda managed to lose weight 2 years ago. The results were startling, but the method through which she achieved them was extreme. For a whole year, Amanda lived off meal replacement drinks. She managed to lose a staggering 16 stone.
I came off the diet thinking that my problems were all over and I'd just have to wait for the plastic surgery to have all the hanging bits cut off. But it didn't work out that way.
As soon as Amanda stopped taking the meal replacement drinks, her weight piled back on at a shocking speed.
Since this picture was taken 2 years ago, I've put on 24 stone. It makes me feel really unhappy, depressed, lost. I sit and look at this picture all the time and think I will be there again.
But it's not just her own weight Amanda's concerned about. Son Simon and youngest daughter Georgina are also obese.
Mum worries about my weight. She keeps telling me that I need to lose the weight so I don't have to go through what she's going through, because she wants me to have a nice life and not have to worry about anything like that, so I can get on with my life instead of being someone who's going to be stuck in bed or not be able to go out as she has been.
My son was bullied at school for his size. My youngest daughter, she's big boned too, but it's not what we eat. I think it's in the genes, I'm not sure. But it does worry me because I don't want them to be like me. It's the most horriblest thing in the world, being big. I hate it.
Amanda's biggest fear is that she's failed her children. She's unable to kiss them goodnight in bed each evening because she hasn't been able to walk upstairs for the past 2 years. The council tried to help by fitting a lift in the house. But Amanda can no longer use it because she's far exceeded the 35-stone weight limit.
This is the lift that I was put in so that I could keep an eye on the children, because I can't climb the stairs. But since the weight's gone up, I've not been able to get on it because I'm too heavy. I went over the limit, it goes up to 35 stone. Oh dear. So that goes all the way up to my youngest daughter's bedroom.
Amanda knows things have to change before it's too late. It's obvious she can't lose the weight on her own. Last month, she was referred to surgeon Shaw Summers. He agreed that a gastric bypass operation is her only hope of losing a significant amount of weight. Shaw's admitted her today to his obesity clinic for a series of tests to determine what damage her excessive weight has inflicted on her body. He's concerned that the sheer enormity of Amanda's size has caused such damage to her health that an operation would pose a serious risk to her life.
Just breathe normally. Keep very, very still.
If she fails today's tests, then plans for the operation will have to be abandoned.
If they turned around and said they couldn't do it, then this is my last hope. I'll just be booking me coffin if I don't get this. So I've got to. I've got to.
Okay, nice big breath in and hold it there.
This has got to be my last hope. That would be like this. I hate it. That's why I lost weight in the first place. But it coming back on with a vengeance. And I just keep getting bigger. I just want my life back.
It's an anxious time for Amanda as she waits to hear if the operation can go ahead.
I wished I'd known when I was a little girl that I was going to be this size and I could have done something about it.
Amanda was chubby as a child and faced a tough time growing up because of her weight. Her parents, Barry and Gina, knew that their daughter was eating too much but felt helpless to stop her.
I think that her diet has been, really part of the trouble. I mean, when she was young, she used to have a dinner here, and then she'd go over to see Nana, and Nana would say, well, I've saved you a bit of dinner, and rather than disappoint Nana, she'd eat it. And she'd come home and say, have you had tea? And she'd say, no, I haven't, and she'd sit and eat another tea, and I think that's where it stemmed from.
My father used to say, I can't see her making old bones.
No,
Didn't he?
Yeah, he said if she keeps putting on weight like that.
Barry and Gina were devastated to learn that their daughter is unlikely to survive the next 5 years unless she loses weight soon.
I try to put it in the back of my head and say, that'll be all right. But the other part is, I don't know what to do. I think maybe that'd probably kill me, if anything happened to her. Yeah.
It just hurts me. I think my daughter shouldn't be like this. Why is she like this? I mean, you put weight on, but you can go on a diet and lose it, but Mandy can't. Something wrong with her.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Back at the hospital, Surgeon Shaw Summers has the results of Amanda's tests to determine whether her operation can go ahead.
Knock, knock.
Come in.
Me again. How are you?
Not too bad, a bit tearful, but
Really?
yeah.
What about?
I'm just down in the dumps, that's all.
Because of the op or because of
Well, everything.
life in general?
Yeah, it's just getting everything in perspective. And
Yeah. Well, we're pleased to know that we're all happy about what we're planning to do. And I think what we've got to do now is just fix the date, which is likely to be very end of the month, and then get on with it for you. Can I ask whether you've had any thoughts or comments about the information sheets? Do you understand about the op and about
yeah,
the
it's quite in
pros
there,
and cons?
black and white. Yeah.
It's designed to be, just so that you know what you're letting yourself in for.
Yeah, it's quite frightening to read, but I understand it.
It will be frightening because a lot of the potential problems you won't have thought of before. Things like the blood clots, heart attack, leakage from one of the joints. However, even with all of those risks, taking them all into account, I think having the operation and getting through it is less of a risk than leaving you as you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Look forward to looking after you when you come back in.
Thank you.
All right. So keep in touch and you be a good girl in the meantime.
I will.
Do your very best to keep active and walking. Can you do arm exercises in your chair? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll try, yeah.
That's it, and out. Yep. It's got to be done. We've got to keep your heart active. We don't want it to get into the routine of doing nothing.
Yeah,
because
my dad's been telling me off. He said you'll die in that bed before long.
No,
You don't do nothing.
No, let's hope he's horribly wrong, shall we? Prove him wrong. Okay, Amanda, I will see you when I see you. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Is your or did you right leg first? This leg.
As Amanda returns home with the good news, it's clear just how desperately she needs this operation.
You've got to do this to get you home. Right, you need to pull on this leg. Right, are you ready? Right, that's shut.
It's early morning in Cambridge, and the anxious wait is almost over for Amanda Beere. Today she's having the gastric bypass operation she hopes will save her life. But Amanda's overriding fear is that she won't survive the surgery, leaving her children without a mother.
I've already took myself through the operation in my sleep, and I wake up sweating and nervous and feeling sick, and I can't get back to sleep again, but I'll just be glad when it's over and done with. There's part of me scared that I might not survive the operation because of being so big, and so I've sat and wrote out will sort of thing, and one's to my children and my parents, and to Vincent, little words that I loved them and thank you for them being patient with me and that. And Simon, well, he's been a brick. Mum and Dad have been a brick too. And without Vincent as well, I wouldn't have been able to do most of the things that I do. So I'm just grateful for everyone that's been about for me.
Amanda has such difficulty fitting her body into a car, she can't travel to the hospital with her family. Instead, she'll be going in an ambulance specially designed for the super morbidly obese.
You put one out there, that's it.
I've been sitting watching telly most of the night. I couldn't sort of switch off. I just got the operation thing going round in my head. I just wanted to be over with. suffer with my nerves. Once they get older, that's it. I'll get panicky.
But Amanda knows that unless she goes ahead with surgery, her weight will kill her. This is the only chance she has to reclaim her life.
Looking forward to being able to go out with my children. I'm looking forward to being able to go to the toilet on my own without having a chaperone. I want my independence back. And my dignity, that all went out the window when my weight went up.
With only hours to go before surgery, the theatre is prepared for Amanda's operation. Despite having her family there for support, Amanda's nerves are starting to get the better of her, and it's almost the point of no return. It's time for Amanda to sign the consent form giving permission for surgeon Shaw Summers to operate.
Morning, Amanda.
Hi.
How are you?
Nervous.
As expected.
Yeah.
However, if you weren't nervous, I would worry that you hadn't understood what we're up to.
All right, I understand.
So today's the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and help you change things around for the better. Okay. Do you want me to explain the operation in any more detail? We've been through it.
No.
You just want me to get on with it now?
I just want you to do it.
Okay. Can I just ask you to read through the consent form with me, and then if I can ask you to sign it, then we can take you to theatre and...
My legs have got the shakes.
Oh, you've got the jelly wobbles, have you? Right. You are Amanda Beere.
Yes.
And you're going to have gastric bypass surgery with removal of the gallbladder, which I tend to do with this operation. And intend to benefit of that as weight loss. If you get a bit of bleeding, we may need to give you a blood transfusion, and very rarely we may need to do further procedures just to improve on your recovery. The operation's going to be done by me this morning, Shaw Summers, and the anaesthetic by Dr. Hill. Just need to ask you to sign to say that you agree to that, you understand the operation, and that I will only do the procedure that we've described.
I don't even know how to bend today. I'm so nervous.
That's all right, Amanda, that's all we need. Okay, any questions from the rest of you?
How long does this sort of take, this sort of operation?
The operation itself will take me probably about an hour and a half. The whole procedure with putting Amanda off to sleep and then waking her up will take probably 2.5, so half an hour each side of the operation. Because what we do is we sing her off to sleep, and then when she wakes up we've got to tickle her until she sneezes.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, so as a whole procedure, it will be 2.5, 3 hours before she's back on the high dependency unit afterwards. You've done really, really well with losing the weight in the meantime, and that's going to help you immensely with your recovery. So I'm very pleased with that, and I think it'll put you in the best possible state to get you over this.
I worked hard at it.
You have. You've done absolutely fine. I'll see you shortly. I'll go and get changed back into my pyjamas. And I'll see you in a minute. All right.
Okay.
See you in a minute.
All right.
Okay.
As preparations for surgery are finished, Amanda faces the agonising weight to be taken down to theatre. It's now that she's alone that she finally breaks down.
I'm just worried at the moment. I'm trying not to cry, but I can't help it. I'm worried. I'm frightened of having a thing up my nose and down my throat, and I'm frightened in case I don't wake up. My nerves are getting hold of me now. I'm trying not to do this because my son, he worries about me all the time. I'm so nervous.
The wait is finally over. But before Amanda faces her fear of surgery, she must first overcome her dread of getting up onto the operating table. You are considered clinically obese if you have a body mass index of over 30. Amanda's BMI is a shocking 96. It's dangerously high.
If you look at people with a body mass index over 80, their life expectancy is measured in about 5 to 7 years, and that's it. On average, they die pretty quickly. Now is the right time to do the operation for her.
Are you feeling a little bit short a bit? Yeah, I bet you are.
Amanda's vast amount of body fat is making it difficult for doctors to find a vein to administer the drip for the anaesthetic.
Squeeze milk, Kelly? I'm a little bit sore. Now scratch the milk. I notice the whole place going inside. I'm really sorry about it, it's so painful.
Finally, after 25 minutes, they manage to find a vein, and Amanda can be put to sleep.
You open your eyes for me?
Shaw can now begin the operation.
Okay, so what we have to now do is just open the wound up by splitting the fat. Fingers right down to the bottom, Barbara. And we just pull. Okay, down again. Right down to the bottom and pull. There we go. Just hold it open now. Right, first step is remove the gallbladder to stop her getting gallstones if she hasn't got them already. I'll be able to tell you that in a second.
The gallbladder stores a fluid called bile, which helps the body break down food. Because Amanda will lose weight quickly, she's more likely to develop gallstones. Shaw is therefore removing the gallbladder to prevent Amanda from needing further surgery in the future.
One gallbladder. Can I just open that up, actually? The reason I'm opening up this gallbladder now is so that I can show you she had loads of gallstones. There they are. All those little rocks and stones which she's been making. So she needed an operation anyway. Right, we can start doing the bypass now.
The next step in Amanda's gastric bypass operation is to shorten her small intestine. But to reach it, Shaw must first of all get past the omentum.
This big wad of fatty tissue here is what's called the greater omentum, and it's designed to protect the intestines and to help keep infection or anything like that at bay. It does just become very, very fatty when people are obese. Okay, I found the small intestine, found the start of it, and I've just got to measure down the small intestine to create the bypass.
Before he staples Amanda's stomach, Shaw Summers first has to eliminate about 1 metre of her small intestine. By making her digestive system shorter, it will drastically reduce the amount of calories that Amanda's body can absorb.
So that's the inside of the small intestine. A little bit of bile coming out there. Sucker, please.
It will also make it difficult for her to eat the wrong types of food in the future. Next, Shaw is going to create a much smaller stomach for Amanda. From now on, she'll only ever be able to eat tiny amounts of food.
Okay, this is a special sort of stapling gun which will go across the stomach and basically put a row of staples straight the way across so that food can't go from one side to the other. Normal sized stomach is about the size of a large grapefruit or a small melon. By the time I finish stapling it, Amanda will have the stomach the size of an egg, if that. So quite small. However, that's what's going to be needed to restrict her to the kind of calorie intake that will allow her to lose enough weight to make a difference to her life. It sounds extremely drastic, and it is, but she has got such a lot of stored calories in her body to burn up. The only way to get that to go is to restrict her severely. Okay, if you can lift that up. Here we have the little stomach tube just at the top here, and that's all there's going to be left of the stomach. The rest of the stomach's all down here, but there's just going to be a little bit at the top where food will go in. Okay, I've just passed the point of no return. I've just clicked the gun. I have to do this op now. There's no other way around.
The final and crucial stage of the operation is to join the bypassed part of Amanda's small intestine to her new stomach pouch. From now on, her relationship with food will be changed forever.
OK, do you want to flatten her off? Thanks.
All that's left to do now is to stitch Amanda back up.
For someone of Amanda's size, this size wound is probably a little more than a scratch for you and I. So, on that basis, she won't be that sore. Well, I think that operation went absolutely as expected. The majority of Amanda's fat is on the outside, not on the internal organs, and so the surgery itself was straightforward and hopefully easy for her to get over.
Meanwhile, Simon and Amanda's sister Rachel wait anxiously for news. But Simon has other concerns. Although he wants his mum to lose weight, he fears the loss of his role as carer.
If I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't feel part of the family no more. I would feel a bit left out as if Mum could do everything herself. I feel wanted when she needs me.
She's feeling that. That's it's a nice big deep breath for me. Deep breath then.
After almost 3 hours, the operation is over and the anaesthetist starts work to try and wake Amanda up.
Well done.
All gone fine. All right. Good girl.
Amanda will spend the next 24 hours on the high dependency ward, so nurses can keep a careful eye on her. Only time will tell if the operation has been a success. Coming up, is Amanda finally managing to lose weight and regain control of her life? Weighing a shocking 40 stone, Amanda Beere could walk no more than 5 steps and rarely left the house. Diets had failed, and a gastric bypass operation was her last chance to lose the weight that was slowly killing her.
OK, I've just passed the point of no return.
It's been only 4 months since her surgery, and already Amanda's lost a staggering 13 stone.
13 stone. That's like losing my daughter. It's like carrying my daughter around. It's great to be able to walk about and do things that I've never been able to do for a long time. Don't do that! It's lovely to be able to watch my children playing over the park. I never dreamt that I'd be able to go out. I always thought that I was just going to be a cabbage sitting in a bed. We haven't done this for a long time, Simon. I love life now. Before it was just a drag. It's just a drag to get out of bed in the mornings. But now I can't wait to get out of bed and see what the day brings. And there's no limit now what I can do. Things can only get better.
It's not only Amanda who has her life back. As her main carer, son Simon had to look after his mum 24 hours a day.
I find my mum's a lot happier now, and I'm enjoying that because we can all have a laugh and giggle now, so she's got a lot more confidence and she's looking happy than she used to. Now I don't have to do anything for my mum. I've got myself a job and I work in a supermarket, which is really good because I'm getting out a lot more now. It's good for me that my mum's lost her weight because now that I've got the confidence to go out and make new friends and I'm getting on with my own life instead of being like in hers.
With Amanda now able to care for herself, it's also good news for her ex-husband, Vince, who used to come round daily to wash her.
Amanda's happy. She's happy now she's had the operation because she can do things for herself. How are you, darling? All right? I don't need to wash Mandy no more because she does it herself now, which is really great. What have you been doing today, then? Don't have to wipe her bottom anymore, like I used to.
The best thing I'm starting to lose weight is when I could wipe my bottom myself. I was trying every day to get a little bit further around and a little bit further around, and then one day I cracked it and I was so chuffed. And when I didn't have to call them, that they were amazed.
She's got her independence back, so that's really, really chuffed her as well. But you know, she's doing really brilliantly at the moment. If it weren't for the hospital, I don't know what she'd have done. I'm seeing the old man I used to know, which is nice. You're even sitting up in a chair where you could do that.
Before,
no, you couldn't do that last time. You were just laying on your bed.
There's too much of me.
Yeah.
I've spread everywhere.
You spread everywhere.
I feel I can take more pride in myself now. It's took me 3 months just over to grow my nails long, and the next stage I'll be putting little bits of makeup and that on. That's only when I feel that it'll be okay. But I'm getting there stage by stage, day by day.
For the first time in years, Amanda's back in the kitchen cooking for her family.
It's great to be cooking in my kitchen again. I haven't been in here for a long while. It gives me a feeling of independence again, rather than them waiting on me. I can wait on them now. I feel as though I've got my independence back. It's lovely. It's like being on cloud 9 every day. Simon's pleased I'm losing the weight. It's just him getting used to having to take a back seat and letting me take the reins again. But I'm sure he will learn to in the long run, because then he'll see it's better for him, that he hasn't got to do anything. There's a whole lot of change in the way I eat. I never imagined that I would only just be able to eat a little and be full, but it's great.
Here, Jen. I'll find some Andy's if you know.
Okay.
Thanks, Mummy.
Some days I just don't want nothing. I don't feel hungry at all. I mean, if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't eat. I think the operation has worked brilliantly, and I can only thank Mr. Summers from the bottom of my heart. He's made me feel really happy. I've had enough now. Do you want it?
Yeah. Out.
Amanda's still too big to climb the stairs, but her 13-stone weight loss means that she no longer exceeds the weight limit for the lift. For the first time in 2 years, she can kiss her children goodnight in bed.
George, you all right? Right? Yeah. It's lovely now that I'm going to be around to watch my children grow up and not have that death penalty on top of your head. It's so nice to feel like a mum again, and rather than just this person sitting in a bed being a burden to my children, I look after them instead of them looking after me. Having the operation was the best decision I've ever made. I'm a mum again, I've got my life back, and I'm just so happy.